New and conflicting assessments today on the state of Iran's nuclear program. President Trump doubling down on his claim Iran did not move enriched uranium from its nuclear sites ahead of the U.S. strikes, contradicting a preliminary U.S. intelligence report. Meanwhile, the head of the UN nuclear watchdog today raising doubts about how effective those strikes were in destroying Iran's nuclear capabilities.
I saw reports that there were 400 kilograms, 800 pounds that they moved, but I wonder if it's traceable. I mean, if they were to have moved,
they didn't move anything.
They didn't move anything.
You know what they moved themselves? They were all trying to live. They didn't move anything.
The capacities they have are there. They can have, in a matter of months, I would say, a few cascades of centrifuges spinning and producing enriched uranium, or less than that. But as I said, frankly speaking, one cannot claim that everything has disappeared and there is nothing there.
Joining me now is our friend, Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton. He served 4 tours of duty in Iraq as a Marine Corps officer, and we always are glad to have you on the show, Congressman. So, look, the Trump administration shared limited classified intelligence on Iran with the House on Friday. Before the briefing, you said the administration was, quote, outright lying that the strikes completely obliterated Iran's nuclear program. What did you learn from this briefing? Were you convinced the strikes were as successful as the White House claims?
The briefing completely reaffirmed everything that I've said to date, Alex. And primarily, it's that we don't fully know exactly what was destroyed because you can't tell that immediately after a strike. And anybody who's been on the ground in the military or flown missions like this before gets that. Apparently the president does not. But let's remember what happened here. The president said the night of the strikes, the program's been obliterated. Hegseth the next morning said it's been obliterated, standing 4 feet away from General Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, who said, we don't know. We need to conduct a battle damage assessment. And that's still not complete.
Okay. But it could be obliterated, right? Because we don't know. I just want to say that, what cards are still on the table here.
I would be very surprised if the program is obliterated. I'll just say that, Alex. Very, very surprised. And the important point here is that Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth are putting our national security and Israel's national security at risk if they are lying about the extent of this weapons program that remains. We all agree that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if we are being lied to about what capacity they have to produce one today, then that puts us in danger.
Yeah, that's a very good point. You need to know the truth of what you are dealing with. Meantime,
right.
President Trump said that the U.S. and Iran will be holding nuclear talks this week, though Tehran has said there are no talks scheduled. Are you surprised the truce has held so far? And should or will Iran be open to negotiating a nuclear deal after these attacks?
Well, I am a little surprised the truce has held so far, but it's a good thing because we have to get back to the negotiating table. The other question that everyone forgets to ask is that no matter what military action you take and how successful it is, the key question is how long will it take Iran to rebuild its program? And that could be in the form of rebuilding their centrifuges and starting to process uranium again. It could be just in terms of buying a bomb from a place like North Korea. Either way, the only way to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon long term is through intrusive inspections. Verifiable, enforceable inspections where we can see, the international community can see on the ground that Iran is not developing this capacity. And you only get there through diplomatic negotiations. And that's why all these Republicans, Trump and all the hawkish Republicans who were so opposed to Obama's deal back in the day, said this is ridiculous. We can't negotiate with the Iranians. We just have to bomb them. Well, they are all admitting now we've got to get back to the negotiating table. So regardless of how much of their program was destroyed, we've got to verify it. And that's why getting back to the table is so important right now.
And I want to get back to the briefing that you got. You mentioned how Hegseth was 4 feet away from General Kane, and he was saying something completely contrary to what the general was saying. That was in the press conference. What was his demeanor like in the briefing?
It's very interesting in the briefing. Obviously, I can't talk about exactly what was said,
Sure.
but I'd be happy to talk about how it was said. Marco Rubio walked us very casually through the entire timeline, explaining what was going through their heads as they made these decisions. It was a very helpful explanation of how they got to where they were, even if you disagreed with some of the decisions along the way. Then Secretary Hegseth read word for word a very carefully scripted document to make sure that he tried as much as possible to stay close to what he had said before without lying further. I mean, it was almost comical to watch him do this. And then next came Chairman Kaine, who, again, as a military officer, he happens to be the least qualified chairman of the Joint Chiefs that we've ever had, but he did seem to come across as very honest, and he gave us a fair assessment of how the operation was carried out, what happened, much like he did in that press conference initially with Secretary Hegseth. Ratcliffe, the CIA director, followed after that and had a more conversational tone. But it was interesting seeing the contrast among these different characters and how they presented this information in an effort to try to basically walk the line between not directly contradicting some of the things the president and Hegseth had already said, while also recognizing that we were going to ask tough questions here in a classified setting in Congress.
So it sounds to me like Hegseth was being a little too careful, making sure every syllable was where he wanted it to be. There was nothing off the cuff about it, by your standard.
Literally everyone, 3 of the 4 looked at us and explained things, occasionally looking down at their notes. Hegseth was like this, staring at his notes the entire time, making sure that he said everything word to word in a very carefully scripted comment so that he didn't get himself into further trouble, since obviously nobody trusts him. I mean, I've heard nobody trusts him in the Pentagon. Obviously, none of us trust him in Congress, and that applies on both sides of the aisle. And he was trying hard just to not make that any worse.
Okay, let's move on to the GOP's mega spending bill. Senate Republicans cleared that procedural step, but it's unclear still if the cuts to Medicaid and other programs, as well as the projected $4.5 trillion it's going to add to the national debt, will compel enough senators to pass it. What are your thoughts on the Senate's version of this legislation and the top concern that you're hearing from your constituents?
Alex, I think it's important for people in my position to admit mistakes. And I was wrong here. I thought that the Senate would take this horrible bill from the House and make it a little bit better. I mean, not better enough for any reasonable Democrat, any person who just cares about our deficit or about giving health care to Americans to vote for it. But we make it at least a little less bad than the bill produced by the House. But amazingly, the Senate has made it even worse. I mean, it's just utterly ridiculous. This legislation sends a massive bill to our kids and our grandkids by blowing up the deficit, all in the name of tax cuts for billionaires who don't need them, and taking health care away from millions of Americans. I mean, there's just nothing to like here. And yet, because Donald Trump wants this thing done, the Republicans are probably going to find some completely hypocritical way to justify doing it and ultimately getting it passed.